Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request. It's time for John McKinney. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, reactions, commentaries, re-reviews, reviews, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or through my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And he wanted me to react to his list of the top 10 most overrated movies. I'll go by them quickly and then I'll go back up. For him, number 1, Finding Nemo. Number 2, There Will Be Blood. Number 3, Titanic. Number 4, The Hunger Games. Number 5, Cars. Number 6, the 2018 Halloween film. Number 7, Jurassic World. Number 8, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Number 9, Spider-Man 2. 10.5. Maybe I meant 9.5. 9.5, Toy Story 2 and 3. And then 10, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. There's a few I disagree with, but a lot of them I do agree with. Finding Nemo, number 1, I do disagree. I know not everybody's a fan of that film. I thought it was quite enjoyable of a Pixar movie. I saw it in the theater. I definitely think it's one of Pixar's better movies. My favorite is still Wall-E. But again, I saw Finding Nemo in the theater. I thought, you know what? It's nice to hear voices like Albert Brooks in there. Bit of a dark opening where a chunk of a family is killed and these are the last ones left of this family. A father looking for his son. I thought it had some beautiful animation. It has a nice little heart to it. Even Ellen DeGeneres didn't annoy me. Her character, that can't remember much. Dory. The different designs of the fish in the sea definitely was not as cringeworthy or as heavy with advertisement and pop culture memes and references like Shark Tale. This one felt more like an actual movie, telling an actual story. And it's a story to get behind. A guy trying to find and save his son. It's one of those films I watched. I didn't really find much issues with it. I mean, compared to other Pixar films, especially like Brave was pretty lame, and I don't have the list of Pixar films in my head. I said Wall-E's my favorite, but this one I would put up there. So I do disagree with that. Number 2, There Will Be Blood. I have not seen it, but I have seen clips and pieces of it. Just doesn't seem like being my cup of tea. Seems like a very lengthy film. The time period takes place in, the story. Like I said, it just doesn't seem like my cup of tea. So, but I can't say anything about it. Number 3, Titanic. Absolutely agree. I mean, I even did a video saying why I don't like Titanic, and I still don't. I can appreciate the effects and spectacle. I can even appreciate some of the acting and music by James Horner, and I don't think Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet are bad in it. It told a 3-hour story that I think could have easily been told in half the running time. I mean, hell, part of me was more interested in the Bill Paxton beginning portion where they're looking into the remains of the Titanic. Like, that was more interesting to me than the actual Titanic story. And it's also, I mean, it's stupid to say predictable because what else is going to happen? But it's like, you already know the ending before you're starting watching, so you're just waiting for the movie to catch up. That's like, okay, well, you know this old woman is Kate Winslet as much younger. They literally tell you that. You know that DiCaprio's character gets killed off because she doesn't make any reference of marrying this guy or he died years ago or blah blah blah. Obviously, you know the boat's gonna sink. That'd be hilarious if it didn't. What a twist. So I was watching, I'm like, okay, I can appreciate the spectacle and they're going into this route, but I guess maybe if you're a big sucker of the romance, to me, it's just, A little goes a long way sometimes with that aspect, and again, I just don't think it's something that needed a 3 hour running time. And is it the worst movie ever? Not even close, but I would probably watch that over Avatar if I have to pick. Again, I appreciate some of the practical effects and the way it was done to look like, some of the stunt work involved. Billy Zane is definitely over the top, but kind of having fun with the role. But that's also just a symbol of James Cameron changing from the guy I used to like, Aliens, The Abyss, The Terminator, True Lies, to now I'm going to go into these 3 hour epics to try to hopefully win Oscars. And this, he went to a different trajectory. It started with Titanic. It just wasn't the trajectory I care for, but a lot of people do. So, plus that's a movie that got played so much when it came out. Every store I would go to would have VHS, even like used places. There would always be like a VHS of Titanic, the 2 tapes. And that Celine Dion song would pop up all the time on the radio. And I did not even think it was a bad song, but when you heard it once a week, when you heard it seemingly all the time, it's like, if there's a radio station, one of them would be My Heart Will Go On, the radio station. Might as well be that, because it was on all the fucking time. It's just like, you grew to hate it. It's kind of like Titanic. You heard about it so much. It's like, if I hear I'm the king of the world one more goddamn time, I'm going to lose it. So, yeah. Number 4, The Hunger Games. Was never a fan of The Hunger Games. If I want that, I'll watch The Running Man. Among others. A Gamer I enjoy more. Like, The Running Man and Gamer are more my type of those movies. Turkey Shoot. I didn't even mind that TV show. What was it called? Squid Game. Even that was more interesting to me than The Hunger Games. Just like the acting. Of course, Jennifer was the lead actress. I'm not a fan of for different reasons. Lots of CGI, teeny bopper stuff. It just, maybe I'm just not the audience for it. Again, give me The Running Man any day. Number 5, Cars. I could see that. I don't hate Cars, but I'm not a big fan of it either. Cars 2 is definitely worse. Cars 3, I don't remember a thing about it. I mean, Cars is a lesser version of Doc Hollywood with Michael J. Fox. Just, that's what it is. It's the plot of Doc Hollywood. Where that was a doctor, has got to be a big break, car breaks down, mingles with the local folk, falls in love with someone there, and ultimately decides to stay there instead of going to the bid time. Nice to have voices of people like Paul Newman, among others, but was I a big fan of the film? No. I don't remember hating it, but I don't think... But do people really rate Cars highly? I don't know if anyone really rates Cars highly. There's a lot of people, like, it did well at the box office, but it seems like when people rank Pixar films, Cars doesn't seem like really gets put high on the list. Compared to Wall-E, Toy Story films, Finding Nemo, Up, among others. Number 6, Halloween 2018. Absolutely agree. I saw that film and I hated it. And I still hate it. It was Halloween's greatest hits. It proved that there was no more imagination, creativity left in this franchise. And their desperate attempt to create some was just to remake Christine. Which, that's another movie. But what happens in that film? It's Michael Myers kills some people in the bathroom, almost some similar to the scene in Halloween H2O that took place in a bathroom. Instead, Michael Myers steals shit, steals a car. Here, Michael Myers steals some podcasters that I don't give a rat's ass about. And you know it's deep because there's a point where they're on the asylum floor and it's a checkerboard. So it's like the pieces are moving for this event to happen. The evil doctor who you find out later on is helped Michael Myers escape for whatever the hell reason. Kills the cop, like stabs him in the throat or something, runs his ass over with the car. But yet in the second film he's alive and able to talk, and in the third film he's just walking around pretty fine. So I find that funny, and I like that actor, Will Patton. But it's like you got fucked up in the throat, and the car ran your ass over. Who's Michael Myers? You were the real Mike. See, that's how Michael Myers failed. Should have went to him to get the Michael Myers voodoo power, not Corey. And then Jamie Lee Curtis just looked like the crazy cat lady from The Simpsons. And it's okay, let's redo Halloween H2O, where it's many years later, and she's having fear and anxiety about the past. But instead of H2O, which I think is a better movie because you have Halloween 2 in the mix, so you have even more of this trauma to put upon her. That not only did she have her friends die, but she was hunted around this hospital and all this other stuff that happened. But then it showcased, okay, she could make a life of her own, which she does as a teacher. And she is trying to get by, but she's having nightmares and she's drinking and alcoholism. To me, that's a much more palatable way on screen to showcase that she can move on and she's a tough individual, but at the same time she does have this anxiety, does have this trauma, but the way she's dealing makes her a more empowered character to then take on Michael Myers in a much more satisfying finale. If you disregard the beginning of Halloween Resurrection, just disregard that, it's a pretty fun finale. And that's a better fight than anything in these three new Halloween films. I defy someone to tell me the fight that Jamie Lee Curtis has with Michael Myers at the end of Halloween H2O, tell me a better fight in all of those Halloween new ones put together. Show me a better fight. Because I don't see it. And this one is just, because she gets it done, she misses sometimes, she hits a few times. I think one time like blows his hand up, or something like that with his hand, but hands seems like he's fine in the next movie. And even then, just trust Michael Myers, like all these years and years and years. And not only her, but the whole town. Because Michael Myers killed 2 people. Or 3 people. Because the second film doesn't exist. Imagine if Vegas, there were other places that have had a lot worse things happen. School shootings, the Dark Knight Theater screening, like all this much even worse stuff than what happened in the first Halloween film. Now check on their towns and see if they're acting like this town is. And if they are, they have even more merit to do it than this town. And if you don't like it, move. Fucking move. Move. Don't be in Haddonfield. And what you did, like, oh, instead of the ambulance in Halloween 4, there's the bus. Which in Halloween 4 was supposed to be the bus, but they couldn't afford a bus, the ambulance. But then Donald Pleasance fucked up the line, and he says, how many are in the bus? If you watch Halloween 4 again, and they find the ambulance, you listen to his dialogue, he says, how many are in the bus? Well, they're, what bus? But, because there's, again, supposed to be a bus in the script, but there was ambulance in the movie, because again, it was cheaper. This won't remind you of this movie. This won't remind you of this movie. In the franchise. Halloween's greatest hits. And the new taters didn't interest me at all. Maybe aside Will Patton. But then they did absolutely nothing with his character. Especially in the third film. Seemed like they were going to potentially do something with him after the second film, but then they did absolutely nothing with him. So yeah, fuck Halloween 2018. Number 7, Jurassic World. Absolutely agree. I thought that when it first came out. I saw Jurassic World back in 2015. I was not impressed. I said this is just a wannabe remake of the first Jurassic Park. It's like a remake of Jurassic Park with less heart and more shallowness. Thinking bigger is better. Well, we have bigger dinosaurs, and this time they can go invisible whenever they want to. Even though there are times that they should, but they decide, nah, I don't want to. And the park is bigger, and this time we got more people in there, but then, it's still PG-13, so it's not like you don't see a lot of the grisly goods, so to speak. Oh, once again, you have two kids in a vehicle, and the dinosaurs crashing down through the roof of it, and this thing's blocking from them and being eaten. It's just like what happened to the two kids in the first Jurassic Park. And even then, like the more attention to CGI made it less special and magical. The cloaking device, the whatever the hell you want to call it, the dinosaur, I thought it was ridiculous. Especially why didn't it do that at all in the third act when, especially when you have two dinosaurs trying to kill you, like, I'm gonna run for it. Let me use my cloaking ability to try to kill one of them. You would think that would help, but apparently Dinosaur forgot how the hell to do that. Of course, there's a bit where Bryce Dallas Howard is able to outrun a T-Rex in high heels. Chris Pratt using the Force to talk the dinosaurs. Fucking Beastmaster, Crocodile Dundee. With the raptors. I always thought it was a ridiculous thing, like him on a motorcycle with the raptors. What, Huey, Dewey, and Louie? I know Blue and Bada Bee and Bada Boo. What are the fuck the name? I know one's Blue. Maybe this is like Reservoir Dogs. You're blue, you're pink, you're Mr. Green. You're Mr. Pink. I don't want to be Mr. Pink. You're Mr. Pink. I don't know, a lot of people like Jurassic World. I never was a fan of, so I agree with that. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I know I talked about that, and people got pissed at me back in the day when I said that. I never liked that film. I thought the CGI, I thought was garbage then. I thought it looked horrible. I didn't understand in the beginning how no one of this facility of doctors noticed that this big experiment they have test subject was pregnant and had a fucking baby, and like no one else knows it until much later. I mean, how the fuck do you not notice one of these were pregnant? Is that like something important to check into? And you got James Franco, you got John Lithgow. God, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie, so I don't remember a lot of the details. But yeah, I just remember not being that impressed with that film. At all. But that's just me, and it was successful, got 2 more movies. Number 9, Spider-Man 2, I can see what you mean. I can watch the film, I don't mind the film, I just don't love it like other people do. I definitely think it's the best of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. Alfred Molina does a wonderful job as Doc Ock. There's some decent action sequences, like the train sequence and the fights Spider-Man has with Doctor Octopus. It just Tobey Maguire. I have not minded him in movies like Brothers and Pleasantville, but the way he's acting and the way the character's written, I know Sam Raimi is from a different school of Spider-Man fans from way, way, way back in the day. I get that. I have read some of them, but I'm not of that era. I'm the era of the Spider-Man comics in the 70s and 80s, even to early 90s, where Parker's more of a man. He's not crying all the time. He doesn't feel so Opie Taylor from the Andy Griffith Show. Golly gee, Aunt B, are my pies ready? The scene where it's raindrops keep falling on my head. And he's walking in freeze frame. I'm free. That's not my cup of tea. That's not what I think of when I think of Spider-Man. It's just very corny. It's very, very campy. Sometimes it's doing stuff like what Batman Forever was doing. If you think about it, with some of the way the villains and some of the movies are, it is kind of doing some of the stuff Batman Forever was doing. And to more extent, Batman and Robin, but... And Kirsten Dunst, her Mary Jane is so unlikable and needy and Tibby you love me, you got Tibby you love me. The actress who played Aunt May I thought fit. Alfred Molina, like I said, did a great job as Doc Ock. It's not trying to overtake and use too many stories to suffocate itself like Spider-Man 3 did. And you've gotten the origin stuff out of the way, like in Spider-Man 1, so... Of the three films, I do think this is the best attempt Sam Raimi definitely gave. There's definitely some scenes. I mean, the whole bit where Doc Ock's arms come alive and the way the cameras are shot and the zoom-ins. His reference to Evil Dead with the way that scene was shot. Was like turn, boom, saw. These like quick shots and zoom push-ins. I wish more of the film was directed like that. But like that's a very nicely edited sequence. Like Spider-Man 2 I could watch. I could get what you mean by overrated. I would actually put the first film more on that list. Because I could watch and like Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 1, not so much. So I would put the first one on there, but I see what you mean. So, I guess he meant 9.5. Toy Story 2 and 3. I mean, I remember not minding Toy Story 2. And 3, I could get what you mean by 3. I could agree with overrated in the fact of I never had I've heard so many people have this big emotional connection with Toy Story 3 that it reflected something in their lives and them growing up from childhood or putting their toys away or that they were teary-eyed at the end. I don't get that. I don't get that idea. I don't get that whole... I don't get that. That never happened to me when I saw that film. It's on. I'd probably say Toy Story 3 is my least favorite. I know people hated Toy Story 4. I actually like Toy Story 4 more. Because I thought Toy Story 4 is just a bit more exciting in terms of the story for me. But, yeah, I just see Toy Story 3. Toy Story 2, I'll be honest, I don't remember what the story of Toy Story 2 was. It's been a while since I've seen it, so... And then you have Guardians of the Galaxy. I disagree. I still enjoy the film. Yes, its success led to much more of the humor infused Marvel films, but in a way, that's not Guardians of the Galaxy's fault. It's the studio thinking every film should be that way, and no one putting their foot down and go, no, let that be with Guardians. Do your own thing. But they didn't do that, and now you're in the shit pile today. But Guardians of the Galaxy, I still think is a solid movie. Fun, popcorn, likable characters, some irritating action sequences. Weak villain, to be fair, but I thought Chris Pratt was very comfortable in that role. Same with Dave Bautista, and even, you know, I know Bradley Cooper is the voice of Rocket. Fun action sequences like the prison escape scene. The sense of humor and the soundtrack worked for that movie. Again, did not mean need to be in every fucking Marvel film, but it made that film stand out from the pack, and I still think it's an enjoyable popcorn film. So I disagree with that. But 100% agree with Infinity War and Endgame. 100% agree. Not a fan of those two at all. Avengers Infinity War, I remember I saw that and I went, what is the big deal? There was barely a war. There's a battle at the end, but where's the war in this Infinity War? Like, if you think about really what all happened, there's the Hulk, gets his ass whipped, and you never see him again in the movie, despite the trailer lying to you and saying he would be there at the Wakanda battleground, but he's not. So the trailer lied, false advertising. So Hulk gets his ass kicked like a pansy by Thanos makes Hulk his bitch. Captain America grew a beard, and you don't really get to know a whole lot of what he's been doing in between. Which is a shame, because I remember that being some interesting stories of, like, after Captain was a nomad, like the nomad type of character, and we never really get to enjoy that part. Instead, you have the subordinates of Thanos, which I don't find interesting as villains. There's bits with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. There's Chris Pratt. Even though Spider-Man has Spidey sense, somehow Chris Pratt gets to drop on Spider-Man and holds a gun at Spider-Man's head. I'm like, really? Really? Star-Lord gets to drop on Spider-Man? Really? On the one guy that literally has something called Spidey sense, but okay. Thor is fucking around with Rocket Raccoon to find an axe. Or make an axe. And then the big battle of Wakanda is pointless because it just culminates in Thor should have aimed for the head. Before that, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and some of the Guardians are fighting Thanos, and it looks like they're ready to take the glove off, but then, yes, Star-Lord hears about Gamora's death, but he screws up, he fucks up. Hey, emotion, running high. But at the same time, as an audience member, you're going, no, don't do that. And he fucked everything up and caused the whole half of the universe to disappear with a snap. And then that's never, I mean, I don't know if that will ever be brought up. Maybe in this third one, I don't know. But you gotta get called out on you made the half the universe disappear. And it was up to them to fix it, not you. So it kind of makes me not care about Star-Lord's character. I get his emotional reasoning of faultiness of that, but you still look at the result and half the universe disappeared because you couldn't hold it together 5 more minutes. And there's never any retribution for that. Or repent for that. At least not from Star-Lord. And then the Thanos does a snap. Wipes half the universe. Not that it matters, because you know they're already making a second film. You know they're already making a follow-up. And you know most of these people are going to come back anyway. So you know, okay, the way this happens, you go, oh shit. But there's a new one. It's called Endgame, and they're going to reverse it. Like, you already know. So that's why it wasn't effective. In Star Trek 2, when Spock died, yes, there's the coffin on the planet, but there's still that doubt of, will they make a new one? Will they? I don't know. This just... Like, you know, of course, they're going to wipe out half of the fucking Marvel heroes when they have a lot more money to print. So I agree with Infinity War. And Endgame, yes. Endgame, way too overlong. Hulk is now a goofball, ready to serve breakfast tacos. Thor is a fat fuck. Wannabe Big Lebowski. Just Thor and Hulk been turned to loser jokes. Iron Man has a daughter. A lot of references to other time travel movies, like another time travel stuff where they could go back and like changing the past doesn't affect anything for some reason because it's just their own rules. Just because it'd be more complicated if they actually try to work that out. Until you get that big smorgasbord, was it Captain America fighting himself and saying a line, "That is America's ass"? Really? Like, the humor, like, with all these dire circumstances, what's going on with the plot and half the universe is gone? Do we really need Hulk doing selfies with people and Fat Thors? Is like, can you not keep your composure and seriousness for 5 goddamn minutes, movie? Then you have the whole finale with everybody coming in. Ooh, we got more Captain Marvel. Yay. We got the girl power scene, which felt so forced. It's like, it just didn't come off as natural. Even though it doesn't make sense in terms of Thor's, I guess, lack of powers or lack of balls, but it was cool to see Captain America wield the Thor hammer and then have his shield and give Thanos a run for his money. Considering that Captain America became my favorite of this MCU stuff, that's the high point of the film. I like the Captain America trilogy. I liked his character. Chris Evans in real life, I disagree with a lot of his politics, but I liked him as an actor. And that was a satisfying, fun scene. But again, it makes Thor even more of a pussy because this is your Thor, this is your hammer, Thor, and you couldn't do this. So it's a great moment for Captain America. It's like, oh shit. Easily the best moment in the movie. I could do this all day. That I did like. And then the ending, it's like, okay, Robert Downey Jr. is like, I gotta get the fuck off this ship. After this, I know it's going to sink. So he's gone. And then Captain America, he goes back to bring back the stones, but then he went back to relive his life. But then, while reliving that life, all these atrocities happen and he didn't try to stop them? Or warn people? Or try to change fate? Hey, this is my vacation. I just didn't seem like a Captain America thing to do. Oh yeah, I went back and lived my life with her and I sat around and watched. Hey, what about that thing called 9/11? Nah, I wasn't there. I wasn't even born. I was frozen when that happened. Nah. Hey Thor, if when you try to hit someone, go for their head. Nah, don't worry about it. No, don't tell anybody about that. Nah. Just stand by the side so you come out and look very, very old. See, yeah, fuck Infinity War and Endgame. Never liked them. I agree with them being very overrated. Fuck those movies. So with that said, thanks for watching. Thanks, John McKinney. And I disagree with Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Spider-Man 2, I still like the film. I do disagree on Finding Nemo. The others either I haven't seen or absolutely agree with. Especially Infinity War and Endgame. I would say of the list, those are the two most overrated. Of everything on the list. Those two are the most overrated for me. So with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.